And this is our top story today. Bradley Manning found guilty of espionage for leaking thousands of documents to WikiLeaks.
Judgment Day for two former New South Wales ministers. The corruption inquiry prepares to hand down its findings.
Claims of cruelty as the first group of asylum seekers heads to Manus Island under the new Papua New Guinea deal.
What I am suggesting is that barbarism seems to win votes in Australia.
And Essendon denies damning new allegations about its 2012 supplements program.
It's a drama that included $1,000 lunches, memorable nicknames and even references to Jesus. And it offered a behind-the-scenes look at the former New South Wales Labor government. The inquiry shone a light on the wealth of the Obeid family and the links between government, the unions and the mining industry.
If it is corruption, then it is corruption on a scale probably unexceeded since the days of the Rum Corps.
For months, it was the most popular show in town as the ICAC gallery filled with press and members of the public eager for another update in what at times played like a soap opera. Commissioner David Ip earned himself a cult following for his questioning and dry humour. The media scrum was an obstacle course for witnesses to navigate, at times becoming part of the day's drama. But at stake, mining leases worth hundreds of millions of dollars and allegations former mining minister Ian McDonald gave inside information to mates. The Commission kicked off with an investigation into Eric Roosendahl and allegations he was given a $10,000 discount on a new car as a bribe. The former State Treasurer claimed he was not very good with his finances. That small beans when Eddie Obeid took the stand. After Ian McDonald was linked to an escort called Tiffany at a 2011 inquiry, Operation Jasper looked at his decision to grant a mining licence over land owned by the Obeid family in the Bylong Valley. That licence potentially worth $100 million.
Are you worried about what evidence they've got on you? What else there is to come?
The ICAC was told the Obeids tried to hide their involvement and encouraged mates to buy land in the area. Eddie Obeid was caught lying when three witnesses contradicted his testimony that the former mining minister had never set foot in Obeid's parliamentary office. Despite daily questioning, the Obeid family's confidence seemed unshakable. Eddie Obeid said to counsel assisting Jeffrey Watson, "I've spent more money than you've earned in a lifetime." To a query about who drew up maps found in a family office, son Moses replied, "It could be Jesus Christ." In the third investigation, former union head John Maitland also turned to the church, claiming he would have asked the Pope for a letter of support. Operation Acacia looked at allegations Ian McDonald gifted a coal licence to John Maitland without going to tender. A small group of Labor mates stood to profit hundreds of millions of dollars. They described it as a gold mine. A parade of Labor luminaries fronted the investigation, including former Premiers Nathan Rees and Maurice Yemmer, a former Lord Mayor, as well as federal MPs Doug Cameron and Greg Combet. But it's perhaps the nicknames that will live longest in political history. Ian McDonald was reminded of his title, Sir Lunch-a-Lot, as well as some less flattering ones. And as the investigation wraps up and the ICAC hands its findings to Parliament, the future of the mining leases and the farmland they sit on is still unclear.
I think it would be well and truly the first big nail in the coffin of Bylong. Bylong would change forever if Mount Penny went ahead.
Throughout the inquiry, Eddie Obeid and Ian McDonald denied any wrongdoing.
Australia is urging both federal and the government and the opposition to support meaningful changes to tax, industrial relations and foreign investment or risk long-term stagnation. That's in today's Financial Review.
The Reserve Bank warns that poor policies with ill-defined goals risk undermining business confidence, according to The Australian.
Kevin Rudd has called in 3 US campaign experts, including the man dubbed Barack Obama's digital attack dog, to help with his election campaign. That story's in the Sydney Morning Herald.
The Guardian Australia has the details of the Coalition's 5-year Nauru plan, including providing tent accommodation for a further 2,000 people.
The Age has the latest on the Essendon drug saga. It says Asada has seized documents found at the club claiming the anti-obesity drug at the centre of the scandal was being used by bodybuilders as a safe alternative to banned growth hormones.
The Daily Telegraph says pressure is growing on New South Wales Premier Barry O'Farrell to curb the growing gun violence in Sydney.
Spending on poker machines in Victoria has fallen to its lowest level in 7 years. That's according to the Herald Sun.
The West Australian says local government is set for a big shake-up. The state government plans to cut the number of city councils and promises better services with no rate increases. I'm going to say that bit again. No rate increases.
Wow.
That's the promise, apparently.
Can I move there?
Mark that in your diary. What's the date today?
Yes.
Let's see how long it holds.
Date stamp it. The Advertiser reports on moves to tighten laws that currently allow offenders to avoid prison by claiming they're mentally incompetent.
And the Queensland Government is considering law changes to address concerns about the number of offenders being released too early. That's in the Courier Mail today.
Amazingly divisive. That's what retired public servants have labelled the federal government's new military pension reform. So that story's in the Canberra Times.
The Mercury says tourism operators in Tasmania are jumping for joy that the state secured 3 matches for the 2015 Cricket World Cup. Well done.
And the Northern Territory News continues its coverage of that clash between rival groups of bikini car washers.